Good afternoon, everyone. This is RAND. Welcome to the Global Guided Meditation Call for Saturday, March 15, 2025, after 3:15 p.m. Eastern. The more often that we practice being at peace with what arises in the mind, the easier it becomes to experience every ordinary thing in this life as divine. You want to make sure that you're in a comfortable position. No outside interference. Relaxing into the body. Still focused on your breath rising and falling. And it's interesting, God follows us wherever we go. Whenever the mind clings to something extra important or special, notice this with awareness and do not push it away. Do not label anything as bad, wrong, or a problem. When you do, this in itself will become what's blocking you from feeling an enlightened, liberated state. Welcome all thoughts with great curiosity and explore what is beneath each one. You will see that there is nothing there. Each thought is recycled information gifted from the outer world that we really shouldn't take personally at all, period. And we do. We take a lot of thoughts personally. When we want to get down to the center of you, ask yourself some deep personal questions. What hole inside of you are you trying to fill? Where do you feel trapped in your life? And why? Write them down, these questions, and your answers. You can do this anytime. You take, 15, 20 minutes. It's an enlightening exercise that gently opens the door to your soul. And when you discover where you feel trapped and empty, it doesn't have to be big or huge. It could be a little thing. You'll see why you're clinging to those things that you cannot let go of. This understanding is the most important next step of your wild journey coming ahead. The real battle is won when we see that there are no real enemies out there. And that the only real enemy is the imaginary one within our minds. And this realization is the sacred path to our enlightenment in finding our inner wildness within is the bridge back to our spiritual essence, simply because our spiritual nature is wild, free, and untamable. Expressing this wild spirit within ourselves awakens us from the almighty ego trip that the majority of people on this planet are on. It unlocks the door so that we can step into this vast universe and deeply take care of our wounded selves in the most sensitive, loving, and healing ways. When we discover this connection to our real spiritual nature, we instantly see how every human being is a soul and a spiritual gift to our lives as well. From this place, each being we encounter becomes the source of more love, joy, and inner peace in our lives. When we give ourselves permission to feel spiritually connected, one amongst others, we truly become the wild, unstoppable, free being we were born to be. We no longer feel wounded, avoid others, or resist letting ourselves be nourished and loved. We start embracing the divinity that we all actually are. The more we practice feeling into this spiritual connection, the better this life feels, and the more real our divinity becomes. Understanding that you are a spiritual being, you realize there is nobody to fight with or against anymore. You see everyone as your friend and greatest teacher. When we can live 24 hours of one day knowing we are all sacred, divine, and spiritual beings that will never ever die, we will stop suffering completely. The fight will end with others and within ourselves. We can all then realize together that we are the ultimate authority of our individual realities and capable of creating heaven any moment we choose or want to on this earth. Meditation is a listening with a receptive heart, Buddha. The more creative you become, the more godly you become. When your creativity comes to a climax, when each moment of your life is filled with creativity, you live in God. Also. The greatest shift that any of us, any human being, any Homo sapien, can have in this lifetime is the experience of full self-realization. What is self-realization? I'm asked this often. There are many definitions which point to it, yet ultimately it is a fancy word for realizing that the unlimited, all-powerful, omniscient self, who we truly are, this means we must go beyond every idea, concept, and boundary which we've defined ourself to be. Self-realization is an endless journey where we not only realize that we are beyond this physical form all day long, yet we have a direct experience of it with everything and everyone. We feel and sense a reverence for the spiritual being we truly are. This is not separate from this world around us. It is the most profound awakening process one can have, which expands within every one of us, every moment of this day, becoming an integrated aspect of everyday life. There really is no deeper transformation in consciousness than any human can have than becoming self-realized. The change in perspective is so completely radical and utterly life-morphing that nothing else can compare. Take the most profound experience of your life and then stretch it so it continuously grows and expands 24 hours a day. This is a taste of what self-realization is like. Your entire experience of reality is so different. It's as if you had been an Eskimo living for 70 years in the Arctic Circle, and then one day you decided to pack your bags and permanently move to Hawaii. The reason why it is so important to understand how ridiculously different the experience of self-realization is because it helps the mind drop any possible attempts to formulate a hardened concept about it. What it actually is cannot be grasped by the mind. The more the mind tries to think that it knows what self-realization is, the further you drift away from the experience of it. There is no mental concept in this universe that can prepare you for self-realization, other than a perpetual willingness to surrender into the mystery and curiosity of it. We would all like a formula for a way to live life that is more enlightened and liberating. The challenge is that every formula that works once is not going to work forever. All formulas last for a limited period of time, and then we outgrow them. This is because the nature of our consciousness is meant to expand, become more flexible and diversified. It is only through absolute surrender to the infinite universe can self-realization be invoked and gifted to you. Absolute surrender. This level of surrender means you're inviting in the feeling that anything is possible, which means you must let go of just about everything you've known to be true. It's not easy to let go of our beliefs, yet it is the only way we will ever find the experience of being truly free. And it's our decision, always is, always has been. It kind of gives us the feeling it's an impossible spiritual quest for freedom, right? It's a many. It all begins with inquiring into the source and center of who and what we actually are. When we relax, meditate, and dive into the center of you, there you will find first the mind and its stories about you. The infinite experience of you is behind these thoughts. It comes from diving into the center of your presence, your essence. And there you can go into it for infinity. There is always another experience within the center of each experience. Eventually, this is how we become centered within our spiritual essence. In this life, it is always the most random, expansive feelings which redirect our attention away from who we think we are and towards rediscovering our unlimited creative source of consciousness. When you notice, whenever you talk about yourself, you usually refer to the words me, my, or I. When you feel into the experience of me, my or I, what do you notice and perceive is there? Look for a long period of time. You must be infinitely patient with this inquiry because it is the first step towards uncovering the real you. And it is vastly deep and transforming. And the longer that you can maintain a focus of inquiring who or what you are, the faster you will realize the shocking truth of who and what you actually are. Imagine that you are, who you are, is contained within, let's just say, a blank white canvas and you draw a circle in the center of the canvas, and in the center of the circle is a dot. And the dot is the self you believe you are. Now this means everything which you have identified with that can be written down on paper. Your name, friends, job, your gifts, physical appearance, your attitude, personality, and the way others see you is all part of your identity. The dot represents your mind with all the information stored inside it. As well, your emotions, memories, beliefs, and every piece of good and bad information inside your physical body. Everything you know to be true about your reality is contained within a tiny dot. The circle around the dot represents everything in our future we have yet to see, experience, know, learn. Contains our intuitive higher self. It says who and what we are includes the ego, mind, and body. It also welcomes everything beyond it as well. Meaning you could find yourself knowing who you are is not just your body, yet anything around you. You could feel yourself to be free. You could feel yourself to be a tree, animal, plant, person, the sun, the moon, the stars, the planets. You could extend your idea of yourself into anything and everything in this entire universe and beyond. The circle represents every piece of information you don't know is on Google, as well as in all the buried ancient history books and Akashic records throughout time. Now, if you look closely at the circle, you'll see there is an outer circumference where the black edge meets the pure white background. This white background can expand into infinity. This edge represents the edge of the unknown. It is where the experience of self-realization is found. We must choose not to only let go of identifying ourselves as a body-mind, yet also be continuously expanding our sphere of what we know is the unknown and surrender to the unknowable. You can call this infinite white expansive space God, love, consciousness, source, or any word that works for you. However, the truth is that there is no word large enough to describe this boundaryless container which allows for everything in this universe to play upon it. This is the great mystery of this life, of all life, which every mad scientist fights with to understand. Yet the mind will always be too small of a container to get it. To fully experience and realize who and what we actually are, we must release anything that can be known with the mind and surrender into the infinite mystery behind it all. It is in this direct relaxation into our foundation that we find our spiritual connection and our boundless infinite potentiality. We instantly realize that we are a spirit being who is beyond this body, beyond time, beyond all places, shapes, and forms. Great quote from Wayne Dyer is, when you judge another, you do not define them, you define yourself. And by living everyday life on this outer edge of infinite possibilities, we become rooted in the deepest truth of who we truly are. We experience enlightened relationships with everyone in our lives because we see they are also a part of the mystery living in this great unknown. We then become this ever-growing expansion of godly experience that is always increasing in love, joy, and curiosity. And when we find this infinity within us, where all thoughts and forms abide in, we can rest in a state of pure consciousness. It is from this resting, within the core of our real self, where we can effortlessly allow everything to be in perfect order. Seeing the divine is orchestrating this universe to blossom exactly the way it needs to. The expansion of self-realization can come and go in an instant. We do not need to meditate for 40 years to get it. It all begins with the choice in each moment to let this go of any identification we have with this body-mind. Let it, you let it go. You surrender it. And in exchange, it for a more expansive experience of life. So it's partly pure intention and part total surrender. We must choose to go from thinking we are a limited human being with many problems of this world to knowing we are on a great spiritual journey through an unlimited life. This leap requires absolute risk and trust, as the nature of the mind-ego identity is to try to cling to the old. It wants to find security in that which does not change. Yet everything of this world changes. And the only thing that does not change is the infinite background. Or to put it more directly, the God that you are within that body. And the only way to real freedom in life is through changing our perspective, when we can shift from thinking, I live in the body, to the body lives in me. Our reference point to me, myself, and I is expanded. We are no longer imprisoned to just the body and mind. We realize we are the unknowable. The identification with who we are is then found in everything. We experience life beyond the known and unknown circles of information we think are there. Self-realization is huge. However, it is not too huge to experience it in our daily lives. For it to root and be real, we must choose to be willing to practice integrating this expansive perspective on a physical level. We must find complete relaxation with all the feelings, memories, ideas of who we were, who we are now, and everything that we will become. It is through the deepest acceptance of our small self that we can expand into our unlimited self. We are forever going to be this tiny dot that is also expanding into the infinite universe that exists around us. This is life. We have no other choice yet to accept it and relax into the deep, eternal, loving, and accepting divine blackboard that is behind it all. I'll join you in meditation. I'll return to close us out. Take an easy and slow breath in through your nose, an easy and slow breath out from the mouth. Remain still, relaxed into your body, focused on your breath rising and falling. You know you're an awakening being when in the midst of chaos and suffering, you are completely at ease. To arrive at this divine destination, for 30 minutes today, meditate on a vast space of nothingness all around you. Do this in complete silence. Just imagine that you are somewhere way out in this universe, and for billions of miles in all directions, there is emptiness. Put on an eye mask, earplugs if necessary, so you don't see or hear anything. This spacious space is always available inside you. When you truly want to awaken the spiritual experience in your life, I invite you to dive into this spacious, silent place for as long as you can today. Take this with you for the rest of the day into the evening and night and the following morning. We return here Sunday, March 16, 2025, after 3:15 p.m. Eastern, to continue our global guided meditation call. Be gentle, kind, generous, and humble with yourself at all times. Be in the highest of the highest high, deepest of the deepest deepest, purest the purest purest eternal gratitude at all times. No matter what's going on within you or outside of you. Open your heart and allow the magic to flow in.